Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance. You tuned in consciously and conscientiously to Eye on Las Vegas, and you did it because you care the most in the entire world about you. You like learning the most about you because when you're the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And by watching Eye in Las Vegas, guess what? You're going to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? So I'm just going to, before we bring on our amazing guest, wonderful fellow, Scott V, we call him, V for victorious. Just want to let you know, Las Vegas, of course, rings true throughout the world. You can go anywhere. I've traveled around the world a couple of times, literally around the world. And whenever I mention Las Vegas, people always perk up. Everybody knows the city. And it's so fascinating to know the following. If you take the population of the state of California, the most populous state in the United States of America, 30 plus million people, and you add in the population of the state of Oregon, just north of California, and you add in the entire population of the state of Washington, just north of Oregon, add them all together, it doesn't equal the number of people that come to Las Vegas in the course of a year. Almost 41 million people come to Las Vegas every single year. And you know why? Because it's high energy. Things are happening here. Yes, of course, there's gaming and gambling and all kinds of wonderful, exciting shows and such like that. This is a place of energy. And from a business perspective, as a friend of mine who recently came here, relocated his very large business, he said, Las Vegas smells like freedom. I didn't like that. He came from California, so he knows. Okay, without any further ado, we're going to bring in our amazing guest. His name, I told you, Scott V, V for victorious. So please welcome everybody. Wonderful Scott. Please say hello to 389,613 people around the world.
Hello to 389,000, probably all of your closest friends, right, Barry? I can only imagine.
Absolutely. So you're looking at a guy, and both of you who are watching, by the way, you get an extra benefit. If you're just listening, it's all good. You can hear that wonderful resonant voice of his. If you're watching, you get to see me, and even more importantly, you get to see the nice, handsome, dynamic man from the state of Nevada. If I told you all the things that Scott has accomplished in terms of the world of marketing and what he does, it would take the rest of the show. I'm going to give you 4 highlights. Number 1, he was the VP of marketing for Mandalay Bay Resort. That's a big gig. He was the senior vice president for global brand for MGM Resorts. That's a very big gig. He's the current partner in Touch Squared Marketing, which is a full-service digitally focused advertising and marketing agency. And here's the coup de grace, or grace, as they say, those who don't know. He was tapped to be the chair of the marketing committee for a great sporting event that took place in Las Vegas earlier this year. We're in the year 2024. Super Bowl 58, I'll call it LVIII for the cognoscenti, right? And correct. So you're looking at the guy who was the chair of the marketing committee, not a small gig. So without further ado, I'm just going to turn it over to you, Scott, because you know the city very well, you know the state very well. And the state, by the way, just people should know, the city of Las Vegas is a unique place on the earth. Let's be very blunt. Not like Singapore, which is understandably just a city-state. Not like Macau. It's really part of a whole region, and the region is called Nevada because you were in Reno for a long time, and Reno is a great gaming city as well. But let's start with Super Bowl. Tell us some of what does it feel like to get asked to head, not just to be on, but to chair the committee for the marketing of Super Bowl 58?
Well, thanks, Barry. Amazing honor, truly an amazing honor. I mean, I've been in marketing for over 3 decades, probably going on 4 now, and what an opportunity and what an honor to be able to be a part of that. And I was just, frankly, we were one of 11 committees that were created. As you can imagine, the breadth and depth of an event like a Super Bowl, I'm not sure people. I didn't even appreciate how much goes into that. And if you just looked at the way when we won the bid, which the convention authority led that effort, we were only given 2 years to put it together. Most other cities get 3 to 4 if they're a city that, even if it's a city that's hosted before. We had some date challenges with New Orleans, so instead of it being New Orleans year this past year, we flip-flopped, so that it shortened our time frame by an entire year. But there, in my mind, is no other city that knows how to put on events at huge scale than Las Vegas. Some of the cities do a great job. Don't kid yourself. That's why the NFL keeps going back to these great cities to host the Super Bowl. But what a treat it was for us. And really, when you think about it, the structure that was put together, we were just one committee among 11 with committee heads and probably a group of just the organization just directly involved was about 300 people, and between the executive staff and the committee structures and everything else. So it's a massive undertaking, but I have to tell you, I was literally in awe when we would do our readouts every other month to the executive committee of our progress and what was next and what challenges we had and what opportunities we had. I was in awe of these people because it's the reason that Vegas is as successful as it is. You have some of the most unbelievable and most experienced people at their craft. And when you have a group like that gets assembled for something as large as being on the world stage with the Super Bowl, it was a pretty incredible machine to watch.
I'm so happy that you mentioned this. So you're talking about 2 years, 300 people. I would presume, this is a presumption, that a number of them are the staff of the NFL that are assigned to be involved in putting on Super Bowls wherever they are. So in other words, you're drawing on talent that has done it before, at least.
100%. The difference here was, and those were people outside of those 300. So we didn't, here was the difference is we didn't have a playbook. We were starting from scratch. Places like New Orleans and Miami and even Arizona have done these multiple times. They had something that they kind of a model that they could do. We were literally starting from scratch with a stadium that's only 3 years old now, 4 years old. So it was a little bit different in that regard. And you said it earlier in your show, Barry, there is no place like Las Vegas. So some of the things that work in other cities, hosting something as large as a Super Bowl, simply are very different here. And we learned that pretty quickly. But yes, the guidance of the NFL was invaluable. Obviously, we had a lot of our direct connections that gave us guidance. Frankly, the NFL approves everything. You know, we can make suggestions. We made recommendations. They took a lot of that, loved a lot of the ideas that we had. But at the end of the day, it's their game. And we're just the host city. So we have obligations in that host document, in that bid document, that we took very much to heart. And we had one goal, really one simple goal. Monday morning, when we got up to pass the football, the commissioner and the teams here to New Orleans, that people woke up the next morning and said, we'll be back to Vegas and we'll be back very soon. And Commissioner Goodell, in his own words, more or less said that. So I think it was definitely a touchdown for the city. Every bit of feedback from the people leaving the airport at just about every turn was nothing short of just spectacular and positive. I think we even exceeded our own lofty goals, I believe.
Well, exceeding goals is what you're all about, Scott V. I told you, V is for victorious, Victor. Ash, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you give us 2 interesting data points in terms of either the number of people that came in and out of the city in the course of, let's say, 4 or 5 days, and also what kind of revenue did it generate? What are we talking about? Was it a bump of 10 million, 50 million, $100 million?
The estimate originally was about $500,000, $1 billion, excuse me, 500 million was the original.
Right, I was going to say $500,000. I could wager that. Come on.
500 million, $500 million was the anticipated economic impact. Once it was all said and done, I think that was north of $750 million and probably touching even close to $1 billion. They're still counting the numbers, if you will. That's one data point, which was phenomenal. A couple other quick data points. First of all, the other thing that helped put this thing on, we needed 7,000 volunteers to help put this event on. 7,000. We had, in about 5 days, we had close to 9,000 that had registered as soon as we opened up the registration. So phenomenal support by the community. We couldn't have done it without them. The two big parts that we were involved with was opening night, which is the first time that had ever been done at the stadium where the game was going to be played. It's never been done before. And the commissioner gave us some pretty broad goals to try to meet, which was he wanted to see 20,000 people in those stands. And we exceeded that by about 7,000. So that was big. And then the NFL experience, which is a fan experience, which is fabulous, family friendly, amazing. It was held at Mandalay Bay. And it broke all records for total attendance, but ultimately the Saturday of that was the largest Saturday they'd ever had. So that just goes to show you, again, the popularity, the experience of the people who put these on. We couldn't have been happier.
And again, to just put things in context, there ain't no place like Vegas.
No.
It's a city unto itself in terms of what its real, how should we say, its makeup is. Its reason for being is, let's be blunt, entertainment.
Yes.
If you want, let's de-emphasize the gambling aspect, even though, of course, that's an important part of what happens here. It's really about entertainment. And there is nothing more entertaining than the Super Bowl. I mean, let's be blunt. You're talking about, I think it's the biggest draw in the world outside of the World Cup, but the World Cup goes on for months and months. So it's
right, exactly. It's a huge draw. Obviously, we were fortunate to also host the first F1 race here in Las Vegas just before Thanksgiving last year. So those were two very large back-to-back. What I think is, people ask me what is so different about the ability for Vegas to host these large events. Yes, we have a huge hospitality tourism base of hotels, over 150,000 hotels in proximity of about 4.5 miles. Unlike any other city, and frankly, that would host anything like this. But you know what it was? When you really think about it, I've never seen individual groups, whether they were federal, state, local agencies, from security to all of our first responders, come together to create a plan that was so cohesive and so watertight. That to me is what it was. People in this city that are responsible for those organizations and the staff below them and their team members and their management, they get it. They just understand what it takes to host people in a big way. And to your point, we have been the entertainment capital of the world. Now we've positioned ourselves as the sports and entertaiment capital of the world. Woo! That's no small feat. A lot of credit goes to the Convention Authority, Steve Hill and their team over there. This town constantly reinvents itself, and now we're finding new ways to draw people. And through sports tourism, it's working. It's been a huge opportunity for the city.
I love this term, sports tourism. I mean, when you say the two words, they make sense. I couldn't have articulated. So thank you, Scott. This is beautiful. And again, this word, everybody uses this concept called team to be able to put together a team of, let's say, 300 professionals, 7,000 volunteers. And my acronym for team, unlike most other people, is not just a regular one. It's together, everyone achieves miracles. You see, I think putting together an event, let's call it the Super Bowl, which is what it is a unique event. Vegas is a unique place, a unique venue. And I love this idea of sports tourism. So let's just migrate quickly. Actually, let's do a quick thing. We have sponsors that love the show. We're going to go to a very brief break, 44 seconds. There's more Scott on the other side of this. Don't go away, because everybody loves sports. Everybody likes talking about tourism. Everybody likes talking about entertainment. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Scott's here. He's not going. Bye. Be right back.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. Scott V for Victor, victorious. And I got a number of questions that came up, and so I have to ask you right away.
Sure.
And I think I know the answer. I hope I know the answer. You ready for this? Scott, did you get to go to the game?
I was fortunate enough to be able to secure a ticket that was not anticipated, but it did happen a couple of days beforehand through a connection that I had, which was great. And I'm a huge 49er fan, so it was a big treat for me to be able to see my team there on something that I was very proud to be able to work on.
Okay, so you got to go to the game. I like how you said it, through connections. Even you had to use connections.
Exactly.
So let's talk about sports tourism. And I think it's a wonderful vision and visage for this city, because let's talk about things that one doesn't usually associate with the desert, i.e. a hockey team. We have a football team. We probably, I don't know, maybe we have a basketball team. Do we have?
We have the double championship, back-to-back championship women WNBA aces.
Women's basketball, right? We have a baseball team coming in. Is that correct? I mean, from Oakland, they're moving down to Las Vegas.
Correct.
So this is becoming a sports mecca.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You look at F1, you look at what we've hosted. We have the ability now with Allegiant Stadium to host an NCAA Final Four, which we couldn't do before. There are 2 projects on the drawing board for potentially an NBA team at some point. I think it's just a matter of time. You will have all of the major sports here. We're getting tremendous soccer friendlies where, there's so many different things. We've already hosted 2 Pro Bowls and an NFL draft, for example. So that's where the confidence from the NFL came for the city. So the amount of experience, there's actually been a lot going on, but what's really making it a difference here is that very thoughtful groups looking at these projects and saying, how does it really benefit us from a tourism and a local perspective, both? Right? We talk about it. If you go to the Legion Stadium, I know probably much to Mark Davis's chagrin, he doesn't feel like he has a home field advantage, right? Because the teams that come and play the Raiders here, who doesn't want to leave Pittsburgh in the middle of the wintertime to come to Las Vegas and watch a game, right? And so that's where this idea of sports tourism has really come about. And the Super Bowl will come around when it comes around, but the opportunity to bid on things, the opportunity to bring people from other markets, which is a key function of marketing this destination, particularly for the Convention Authority. They are the destination marketer. What a wonderful tool for them to have to be able to do that. It doesn't lessen the impact of the gaming. It doesn't lessen the impact of the shows. As a matter of fact, shows have grown because we have more venues. Look at the Sphere. Oh my gosh, what an amazing venue the Sphere has become.
And I want to just emphasize on something, if I may here. We're uniquely positioned geographically. You're by car 4.5 hours from Los Angeles. It's an hour flight. You're 4.5 hours from Phoenix, and it's an hour flight. You have Denver. We occupy the optimum place in all of Southwest United States. It's really an amazing situation. Now, there's another interesting sport which I'm fascinated by, and I'd like you to speak to it, but I want to ask one question in terms of politics. I am presuming at the moment that the mayor's office is really dialed in to everything that happens in terms of what's going on here in terms of sports tourism and things like that. In other words, there's a real integration of everything to do with the city from the point of view of not just revenue generating, but making sure that this is the cleanest, most friendly, the most safe place to have any kind of experience for somebody coming here. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I think because you have different political jurisdictions, if you will, that are highly focused on that, whether it's the county, which a good portion of Las Vegas is actually the county. the city of Las Vegas, which is doing an amazing job. The mayor, Mayor Goodman, and that team is doing an amazing job in the development of downtown Las Vegas, making it safe for visitors. So every jurisdiction that you're looking at, North Las Vegas, Henderson, there really is, and I mean this with sincerity, there's a real huge spirit of cooperation. Yes, you have your own divisions within those, but the groups have focused on one thing, and that is making this the number one tourism destination city in the world. And how do you do that? You've got to make your visitors feel safe, feel comfortable, have good accessibility. The amount of money that's being spent on infrastructure is phenomenal in order to move all of these people around, the 4.2 million, 41.2 million that you mentioned every year. You know, you got an airport that's drawing 51 million visitors a year into town. So yeah, a lot of focus on that. Tremendous.
Okay. I want to mention one interesting sport that I'm fascinated by, and that is, I think we call it esports. In other words, people filling up a stadium. I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it on YouTube and such, but it's more so in the Orient at the moment. But people filling up a stadium, watching people play electronic sports.
That's right. I think it's been slow to catch on here in Vegas. However, give Luxor credit. There's an esports stadium. They took a former nightclub and retrofitted it with all the technology and everything else. It's doing quite well in drawing in groups that are doing that. And of course, you know, streaming and what you can do with that, the amount of audiences that they can build around it for a location that they play in. I've heard tremendous numbers, like you said, more in Asia and other places where it's particularly popular. So it's there. I think it got, you know, maybe a little bit overshadowed by then the growth and the spread of just online sports betting itself, right? But esports is here to stay. It's something that the city embraces and has been successful with in a few key locations.
So let's talk about pugilism.
One of my favorite sports.
It's a fancy word for fighting.
Yeah.
And let's be blunt. Las Vegas is the home of UFC. It is the center for great boxing events, and these draw tremendous crowds, both physically and online and such like that. And I think big purses and such. And you're intimately familiar with a lot of the boxing and the sporting events. So would you please speak about pugilism in the city?
Well, I will tell you, there was a time in this city, probably about the time I arrived back in 1999 and years prior, that boxing, there was no other event like a major championship fight in Las Vegas. There just wasn't. You can go back and look at all the different fights at Caesars and MGM and the Mike Tyson era and all of these amazing fights. There was people dressed up. They got, you know, it was the night. It still is that to some extent. Give credit to UFC. UFC comes in, they're kind of behind the scenes type of thing. They get legitimized. And the next thing you know, watch this thing just explodes, right? Explodes. Not only and it started really heavily in Vegas. I happened to be at Mandalay Bay and head of marketing there when we hosted the first Nevada State Athletic Commission sponsored or certified fight in the state of Nevada. And It was the very first one. And I will tell you, my PR director and I stood there and watched this, having probably both of us been involved in probably 40 boxing matches prior to that, and said, "What in the heck is this?" From the entertainment value, and as you saw, just that the sport just literally exploded. So again, UFC home here, their headquarters here, training facilities. Boxing remains a major. The sport changed a lot when it went to pay-per-view and those sort of things, but it still remains a very, very popular event. And the city hosts a ton of matches. They host matches at the UFC offices. They host them in the big arenas. They have boxing matches that are both big and small. And it still remains a tremendous part of what I would call, sports entertainment here in Vegas.
I want to mention two other ones that are, for want of a better term, at the moment, I'll use the word fringe. One is rodeo. Rodeo is very attractive to a lot of people. And And I know that rodeo is a big gig here in Las Vegas.
We've hosted, I think Vegas, I'll get the number wrong, but it's been probably 35, 40 years that Vegas has hosted or will be in the latest extension, the National Finals Rodeo, which is the biggest rodeo in the championship for the entire PRCA circuit. Also about 15 years ago, 20 years ago now, actually, a thing called professional bull riders started in a small fashion.
Right.
And now PBR is at one time it was one of the fastest growing sports on television and in live events. They do over 300 live events worldwide now. And we have had the national finals here, but it's moved to Texas. But then they created another series that's just as popular. It's called the Team Series. So rodeo sports in and of itself, the South Point down here at the south end of the Strip, what the Gons are doing down there with some of the biggest Western lifestyle events in the country is just mind-boggling sometimes. So there's rarely a time in this city that you don't have some sort of Western sports oriented type or Western lifestyle type event.
Talk about Western lifestyle, poker.
World Series of Poker held right here. Absolutely. Yeah,
I mean, World Series of Poker Las Vegas is, if nothing else, it's the hub, isn't it?
It absolutely is a hub. Absolutely. That's a franchise that's been owned by a major casino group for many years, and it was held downtown, and it's moved venues a couple of times, but it's still, the biggest purse in poker. The amount of effort they put into winning a seat at those tables is unbelievable. It's incredibly popular.
So look what we're talking about: bull riding, talking about UFC, rodeo, poker, esports, Formula One. Is that going to become a big thing here?
Oh, absolutely. I think the success of it, some would say they had a little bit of a rocky start year one, but that's to be expected, right? They're having to redo a lot of infrastructure on the streets to get it to the spec that was required. Again, no playbook for it here in Las Vegas. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars building a fabulous facility, paddock, if you will, for the race. The amount of interest in this was unbelievable. The amount of international interest is probably, I would say, if you ask the convention authority, it's probably the largest international event to draw international tourists to Vegas that's ever been done. And so, yes, it's here to stay. It's coming back. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving this year. Tickets are already on sale. So yeah, it was from a fan perspective and a fan experience, it was fabulous. It was a fabulous race, fabulous event.
Well, we only have a couple more minutes, I'm sorry to say. I'm going to ask you 3 quick questions.
Sure.
Ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Absolutely. This is fun.
Oh, thank you. Number 2, Scott V. What is your most fervent desire?
Oh, gosh. You know what? To continue to be able to be involved in the excitement of this city from an event development, marketing, that really is. I was out of it for just a little bit, and to be able to kind of be called back, so to speak, really got my fires going again. So I just can't wait to see. So much has changed in the time I've been here since I got here in '99. I just can't wait to see what the next 20 years are going to be like.
Woo! That's the whole part of Vegas. It's that pulse. It's that feeling that my friend said, it smells like freedom. He said it was like Tortuga, the Pirate Bay. There's just, you never know what's going to happen here.
You never know what's going to get announced next. What's the next big thing?
Wow. Okay. Well, I got to tell you, Scott, I'm so honored, and everything you want to know about Scott and his great marketing group, which is called Touch Squared Marketing. It's all in the show notes. Just go to the show notes are below here from Las Vegas. And we are just so honored that you're here. And we'd like to, again, tell everybody the genius of Las Vegas is you now get to touch people who make a difference here. And this city is making a difference, not just for the people here, which is really great because millions and millions of people live here, but it's touching people all over the world. Las Vegas is an amazing place that pulsates. Everybody that has an opportunity to visit here, you're welcome. We love you. And we're going to go give a blessing from Scott and Barry. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Scott, don't go away.